Ombre cakes are all the rage. This cake is going to have 9 colors, starting with my deepest blue all the way up to white. So I enjoy using white as my lightest color because it really shows the gradation in your colors from your deepest to your lightest. My cakes were pre-crumb coated, pre-filled, and I actually did a nice coat of white buttercream on the top of each, and you'll see why when I go and do the actual ombre finish. So stacking this 3-tier, I am using bubble tea straws. I demonstrate this in a previous video on YouTube. Again, the bubble tea straws are firm enough or strong enough to hold the cake together, and this is a 4, 6, and 8-inch tiered cake. So these have been chilling all day, so they're easily being able to be manipulated and handled because they're so cold. I do use American buttercream so it sets up nice and firm. You can pre-measure one straw and cut your other straws to the correct size. However, these are perfectly level tiers, so as long as I cut the straw to the exact top of my buttercream, nothing should be off level. And we'll check for level here in a moment just to make sure that when we stack this one and cut our straws, we have no trouble. So this one was tiny bit too tall, so I just lifted it out and trimmed it once again. So using just a regular hardware level and a cardboard disc on top, just turn your level around to make sure everything is perfect. Take out your last tier and stick it on top. Traditionally, you can decorate your cakes before stacking. However, with this finish, I felt that just stacking it beforehand wasn't going to be a big deal. So once your 3 tiers are stacked, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our buttercream. So I am using again, American buttercream that I've pre-colored in 9 different colors. So these 9 different colors start with a deep blue, and by deep blue it's a dark sky blue, all the way up to a white. Now these are, it's to celebrate a 65th wedding anniversary, so blue is the color that represents 65 years together. So that's an incredible milestone, and I was so blessed to be able to create this cake. Now I am using a double bag technique here where I dropped my 1A piping tip, that's a 1A large round piping tip, into the bottom of a piping bag. And then I can just pull out my color and drop in the next color when I need to change my colors without using 9 different piping tips. So I am adding 3 colors per tier. So each tier is going to have 3 of the colors, and then it's going to give me my 9 in total. So I have 2 rounds of each one of the colors, and I use the piping tip to get a nice even coat, but I am going to smooth it out. So I am adding a textured buttercream finish on this, but to make sure I have a nice finish coat and nice appropriate layer of buttercream all the way around, I am using my bench scraper, my stainless steel bench scraper, to smooth out the buttercream before I actually add the texture onto it. So this is going to help 2 things. This is going to make sure I know I have a nice even coat of buttercream, but it's also going to make sure that my colors blend beautifully together where I change them. So just behind the cake, you can't see it on my stove, I do have a pot of boiling water that I'm dipping my offset spatula in, which is helping me create the texture of the cake. So by using it, holding my spatula perpendicular to the cake and slightly indented into it, and using my other hand to turn the turntable, that's what's creating the indentation. Every so many turns I do wipe it off because it does start to build up because you're pulling buttercream away, and then moving on to the next tier. So again, as you can see, this double bag method, it saves you the hassle of needing to use 9 different piping tips. You're just having one empty bag with the piping tip in it, which allows you to pull out your color and drop your next color in. Again, 3 new colors on this tier, and we're going to use the same process. So because I didn't want to damage the lip on my tier below it, I am using a straight spatula to get my smooth before I add my texture. So again, dipping it in the hot water that's behind me, or behind the cake rather, and smoothing out that buttercream. So as I mentioned when I started, there is a finished coat of white buttercream on the top of each one of these tiers, and I left the lip or the edge of my buttercream. So when I smooth out the buttercream, and as if you've ever smoothed that buttercream, you get that lip at the top, that uneven edge. I left that on the cake because I just liked the look of it and I didn't want to ruin it. If I did want to smooth this out to have sharp top edges, I would want to make sure that the top of each one of these layers was finished in the same color buttercream as my top, as my top color. So again, where there's 3 colors per tier, whatever that top 3rd color is, that would be the color you'd want to finish on top. Otherwise, when you drag across to get your sharp edge, it's gonna not look right. So I did them white so that they all looked the same on top, and then I left that edge when I added the smooth buttercream on the sides. So we just finished tier 2. Again, same process, using the offset spatula, heating it up and creating that indentation for the rustic buttercream, and now adding my final 3 colors. So this is an extremely light blue going into an even lighter blue, and now up to white to finish it off. So again, you can really see, if I had just done 3 colors, I could have easily done this cake in 3 colors. I could have had my dark blue, a medium blue, and then a very light blue. But I wanted an extremely drastic gradation from the bottom all the way to the top. But not only is it drastic from bottom to top, it's a nice smooth flow from bottom to top because I used such small variation in color. So the way I do this is I start by making my darkest color, and then I take a bit of that dark color, add it into a bit of white. Then I take a bit of that color, add it into more white the next time. So I only use one bowl to create these 9 colors because you're creating the same color over and over and over again. You're just changing the gradation of the color itself. So this cake actually traveled fully assembled about a 7-hour car ride. And in another video, I will show you how I packaged it, how we finished it with flowers to keep them food safe because they were silk flowers. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. Take care and have a lovely day.